Mr. Ferraro? Mrs. Quirk?
Here.
Mr. Riley?
Here.
Mr. Scalera?
Here.
Ms. Darrow?
Here.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Here. Okay, before we go into Dr. Glazer's update, I just want to read a little statement if I could, and it's simply to wish us all well. On behalf of the Nutley Board of Education, we hope this meeting finds you all in good health, and for those who are ill and fighting COVID-19, we wish you a speedy recovery. There are no words to express how we feel at this time, but it's historically proven that with adversity comes the hope of a brighter future. In the words of Euripides, nothing has more strength than dire necessity. It took an abundance of strength and focus to meet the necessity created by this pandemic. Today marks the start of week 3 of the Nutley Public School working from home. There is no doubt that setting this process in motion took countless hours of concerted effort from our superintendent, administrators, and teachers. We've always known that we were working with above standard professionals, but this unprecedented term of events has solidified our feelings, and we know our students and parents join us in thanking Dr. Glazer and her team for their unwavering commitment to education and our children. Thank you for all you do and continue to do for our community. I would be remiss not to mention the parents and students who have also made the shift to meet this challenge. All should be commended on what we have done together and what we have been able to achieve together. Moving forward, we will continue to provide everything possible to maintain a positive momentum. While we have no idea when this situation will reverse itself, you can rest assured that this board, this district, and community will continue to pull together to meet all of our needs. God bless you all, and better times are coming, I hope. Thank you.
Hey, can everybody who's not talking go on mute, because the feedback is really bad. So if you're not speaking, be on mute. Thank you. But great job, Charlie.
Thank you. Dr. Glazer.
Hi, everybody. Charlie, thank you so much. It has been a huge lift, but I, as you'll hear me say, I'm incredibly proud of the team. Just as a start, I do want to talk a little bit about virtual learning, remote learning, blended learning. I want to make sure that the community, maybe even the board, understands that this is not homeschool. What we're doing is not recreating a traditional classroom at home. We're not asking parents to homeschool their children. We can't substitute, right? Virtual learning isn't the same as an in-person community. It's not the same as what we're used to. It's not the same as a traditional school schedule. We're actually creating new learning experiences. I think it's going to allow us to explore new forms of teaching and learning and build skills that we're going to use long after this crisis. You know, one of the things that has resonated with me is that we are schooling without school buildings, and yet we're still helping students to learn and grow. School's not closed, the buildings are closed. And if you listen really carefully, I had the opportunity to be in the buildings today, just all by myself. You could still hear the buzz of all the hardworking teachers and counselors and support staff and administrators preparing in ways and means never seen before. And these people just rise to the occasion every day. All of us, you're right, are working longer and harder. Some people have some broken hearts over things that they've missed out on and opportunities and trips, absolutely. But every single person has still continued to move forward. And we're doing that as one team. We're supporting each other. And that's what's made, I think, such a tremendous difference in how we're moving forward. We've had a lot of communication, conversations with each other, with the community, teachers and students, counselors. Everybody has been involved in understanding what it is that we're trying to do here. And I think because of that, the conversations are kind of a bridge between our hearts and minds. This is a challenging time. It's It's not like anything any of us have ever seen and certainly have not prepared for. I'm going to say that the schools we walked out of are not going to be the same as the schools we walk back into when all of this is over. Every person is developing new skills every day while we speak. And every day we get better, which is pretty amazing. Our schools won't just be different, the schools will be better too. I am more than grateful to everyone who's been willing to be bold, been willing to take risks. All of that takes courage. And each of you, every one of you, board, students, staff, community members, are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think. I could not ask for a better crew to be going through this with. So before we get into the general updates, I wanted to make sure that I had an opportunity to thank you and to thank everyone. We have a lot of partners that are making this happen. The Nutley Family Service Bureau volunteers every day from 10:30 to 1:30 are serving lunch and breakfast, multiple days of food for our students. We served, I think, 400 and some meals today to 197 families. That's incredible. That's amazing that we're able to do that after just 9 days of having our buildings closed, 9 school days. We've been working with the Office of Emergency Management, with the Department of Health, with each of the commissioners, the Parks and Recreation. Frank DeMeo and I spoke this morning and he averted, which would have been crisis number 677 for me this morning. And I appreciate that more than you can believe. Those partnerships really make us all a better community as well. All of my social media, all of my letters have ended with Nutley Stronger Together. And I truly believe that and truly mean that in every way, shape, or form. I just wanted to give other people an opportunity to speak after Charlie and I, if you'd like to, before I go into the general updates.
Thank you, Dr. Glazer. Any board member that would like to make a comment, now's the time. You want to say something, go ahead.
I would just like to state that I'd like to thank, especially Dr. Glazer and that whole team. I've heard and I've traversing a lot of the country, well, not traversing, but very virtually across the country. And I will tell you, I see people doing it on paper. I hear it's not right. I think Schoolology, you were ahead of the time. We got it running. And I think it's going to be great for our students. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Any other board members? You'll have time, but now's the time if you do want to jump on, say something.
Yeah, Charlie, it's Frank.
Sure.
I would just like to say thank you and to everybody who's been doing their part. It's not easy. A lot of this stuff that goes on is not seen by community, but the people who are out there and really stepping up going forward, Family Service Bureau, the people that Dr. Glazer mentioned, it is wonderful to see our community joining together to help each other. Thanks.
You're right, Frank. I was watching the news this morning, and they had one of the late night hosts on talking about him homeschooling his children, and he said he always had a large respect for teachers, but after homeschooling his son for 2 weeks, he said there's not enough he could say about teachers and the job that they do, because he is having a tough time with 2 weeks keeping up with one child. And I think that's true for every one of us. Anyone else like to speak up?
I did. So I just wanted to also piggyback off what everyone said, thanking Dr. Glazer, her team, Frank, and the Parks and Rec, their entire team, the whole town. But the teachers, I'm experiencing it also as a parent, and my son's in 2nd grade, and I give the teachers a lot of respect. It's rough. It's rough in these houses nowadays with these kids. But Schoology has been such an asset and making everything so much easier than I could have imagined that this was going to be. So thank you for, again, being ahead of the times with Schoology. It's a real help, especially if you're feeling under the weather. You're still able to get through it.
Thank you, Eric. And you need to take care of yourself. but appreciate it. Yeah, it's the same with all of us. I know what we're all going through. I drive by and wave to my grandchildren out the front window, tell them I'm coming by, and they come to the window and wave, and I feel sick to my stomach. But I listen to my daughter and what they're going through with their Schoology every day, and they're comfortable. They're enjoying it. They're doing it, and we'll get through it, as we all know. Anyone else like to say something?
Charlie, it's Ken. I'd just like to add this. We all know people that have been impacted by this horrific flu virus, etc. It's an emotional time for all of us. And we just found out, or I just found out today, that 2 more people that I'm very close with in Nutley just were notified that they have it. So my thoughts and prayers go out to them for a quick and speedy recovery, and to their family members as well.
You're right, Mr. Riley. Thank you very much. I know we all feel the same way. Anyone else like to say something now? Dr. Glazer is going to give an update, and then we can continue if you like. All right, Dr. Glazer, I think you're up right now.
Guess I have to turn my microphone back on. Okay, so we have mentioned Schoology just a little bit. Schoology is our learning management system. We were, as several of you said, and I already know, ahead of the curve and ahead of many other districts because we had already invested in a learning management system. Our staff, particularly at the secondary level, had already started using that system, already familiar with Google. So while it's a huge lift to be able to move from a traditional classroom to a virtual classroom to blended learning, and blended learning means a combination of online instruction, self-directed instruction, project-based learning. We've been able to do that more quickly than I think people imagined because of that preparation. And I absolutely want to give a shout out to Dr. Soja. She, when she was hired, that was one of the things she talked about, is having a learning management system, having the opportunity to be able to integrate technology, truly integrate technology, not just exchange paper and pencil for a Chromebook. And it has made this so much easier. While other districts are still trying to get their footings, are just starting their learnings, or just starting their professional learning, we actually have been able to provide ongoing professional learning. We had staff development today. We have optional sessions tomorrow and Wednesday as well. And again, I think our staff is just going to continue to embrace this and get better and better. You know, most of the feedback we've gotten has been positive. People have been able to use this easily, to be able to come up with a routine, get their kids on board. Schoology is a technology like everything else, right? It's, you know, no different when your BIOS goes out or the power goes out. Sometimes that happens too. Today, we did put out a communication talking about how to troubleshoot, giving people access to a technology status site. We have our own in-district webpage where people can report issues, where they can ask for help, where they can get support. And the technology team has been tremendous. Isn't even a big enough word, if I can say that. We have the entire district closed, as you know, nobody in or out of our buildings. That's been true for 14 days. And yet our technology staff has been off site replacing broken Chromebooks, helping our special education children access iPads when they're out of district placement. Schools didn't provide them for them. They have been figuring out ways to come in and still social distance, still be able to provide a service without contact. And that is, again, beyond, above and beyond. We know that this is new. Today was day 10 of teaching like this. It's new. We continue to reach out to the staff to support them, not just with professional learning, but hopefully with encouragement, letting them know that they can do this. And part of what we'll continue to do is to continue to ask for their feedback and input. What's working? What's not working? What do we need to do differently? How can we do more of the kind of instruction that we'd all like to see, connecting students with their teachers? Mr. Bania did a quick study at the secondary level the other day, popping into the different classrooms. And he was able to see that 60 to 70% in the secondary level had some form of direct instruction. After 10 days, that's unbelievable. And it's happening at every level, and it'll continue to grow. And like I said, we'll continue to ask for input from staff, from students, from the community. So those places where we're good, we continue to grow, and the places that need support, we continue to provide support. I have to give, beyond Jess and the technology team, I do have to give a special shout out to Ian V. Meister. Ian is his title is IT manager. Ian is a little bit of everything to everybody. And I'm not sure how he stretches so far. I don't know if you had a Stretch Armstrong doll when you were younger. It just kind of went forever. That's how Ian is. And because of that capability, because of his ability to look into the future and plan, it's also helped us be incredibly seamless, even in this process, even in having our virtual meetings. We were one of the first districts to have virtual board meetings and committee meetings. We had the National School Boards Association reach out to us to talk about how we did that, what we used. There are a number of services. It's not about the service, but it's about getting everybody up to speed and finding a comfort level. And thank you all for finding that comfort level very quickly. So a few other things. Well, let's just be honest. It looks like we're going to be out longer than we expected, all of us. And maybe that's a good thing if we can, as the governor says every day, break the back of the virus and get life back to its new normal sometime soon. But being out longer does change some of our operational structures. We made a commitment as a district to continue to pay all of our staff, including our hourly staff. The only people that had to seek unemployment were our substitute teachers and our Pomptonian food service workers through the stimulus package. It looks like that they are going to be good, and we will look forward to bringing them back. We are doing everything remotely. The entire business office is remote, payroll, purchase orders, even developing the budget. And because of that, we had to reach out to our staff that does not have direct deposit for payroll. With social distancing, with things being closed, with people being ill at the post office and delivery times being longer, we could not guarantee that everybody would get their paycheck on the appointed day. We tried. I think we did a good job today from checking in with Joanne. I actually drove to Jersey City today, and I understand that she was able to accomplish this seamlessly. However, we did send a memo to all of those staff members that still get a paper check. We provided them with the support and information necessary to go to direct deposit. April 9th will be the last paper check, and after that, we will be direct deposit for all payroll. I look at that as a bright spot for the future. It makes what we're doing so much easier, and it's more cost effective as well. Along with that, the buildings have been closed, as you know, for 14 days. Today was the 14th day. I was in the buildings today. Ian was in the buildings, Michael Parigi. One of the things beyond paying everybody and feeding everybody that I am tremendously proud of is that we've been able to support our Office of Emergency Management. We provided gloves and cleaning supplies to all of our first responders. Today we were in the buildings gathering gloves and masks and goggles to be able to provide to our community hospitals. We are back in lockdown after today. It'll be another 14 days. April 13th will be the next day where we will access the buildings. We're doing that to be, again, as they say, with an abundance of caution for everybody. The virus spreads quickly, exponentially. We know that it still is in the air. We know that it lives on surfaces. And rather than jeopardizing anybody's health or safety, we have not allowed anybody, not custodians, not administrative staff, nobody into the buildings, with the hope for outcome. I hope for Ian, Michael, and I today that even in gloves and masks, we were safe because everything that was in there couldn't go beyond the 14 days, and that whatever we brought in with us today will die off by April 13th. We are using some of our outbuildings. We are using the field house as a staging site.
I don't mean to interrupt. You're breaking up.
You're fine.
You're breaking up a little bit, so I don't know if it's talking too fast or too slow, but it's breaking up a little bit. Just wanted to give you a heads up.
What was the last thing you heard?
Well, we talked about you being in the buildings and both in gloves. We got most of the conversation, I think. It just was interrupted a little bit.
All right. So what I'm saying is we're still, even though we're not in the buildings, we're using the field house as a staging site to distribute lunch. We use the trailer sites as a staging area for mail and technology. The warehouse is a staging area for our donations. So that's allowed us, again, some continuity of operations within the district. Another thing that will come up if we're closed longer, and this is a discussion item, but we need to have options for spring break. The governor had originally said April 17th, which would have been after our spring break for a return date. The president is talking about April 30th, which was well past those dates. We have several options that have emerged from our staff, from the community, from looking at what other districts are doing. I do want to put that out there for you for discussion. We're going to continue to have the discussion. We don't need to make a decision tonight, but I do want you thinking about it. Obviously, nobody's going anywhere. We don't have to worry about people traveling. If we cancel spring break and continue our learning and end the school year early, which is one option, we're not inconveniencing anybody. Everybody's at home. Another option, which makes so much sense to us when we see how hard everybody's working and how much the kids are doing, is to take those 5 days of spring break, not take a break, but to use them to make a 4-day instructional week for the remainder of the time we'd be out. It would allow kids to have a break, families, especially those families who are working from home. I would say that's the biggest feedback. Our teachers are working from home. They have their own children, their own families. We know that, Erica, you're working from home. You've talked about it is a challenge to struggle. And we think, I was just going to say, and we think that having the opportunity to give people that 3-day break, if you will, and 4 days of instruction would be a benefit. Go ahead, whoever was going to ask a question.
Dr. Glazer?
No? Oh, yeah.
It's Sal Ferrara. The Good Friday, is that still a day that everybody's going to be off?
Absolutely. Good Friday's a holiday. It's one of our regular holidays.
So are you talking about doing the Monday after Easter or the Friday of the
I don't know. Like I said, I don't think we've picked a day yet. I think we're just looking at it as one of the options.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Would it be an option of doing it a 2-3-day weekends or 1 4-day weekend, right? That's an option.
No. What we're talking about is going forward, starting with that Monday. If we do it Monday or Friday, it doesn't matter which way we go. Could be any day of the week, honestly. Having 1 day of the week for the next 5 weeks, so that it's a 4-day instructional week. I'm not talking about making a longer, just one weekend. We're talking about helping families with a longer weekend every weekend and using those 5 days.
So instead of having the spring break, the 13th to 17th, we would make each week for 5 weeks a 4-day school week, not a 5-day school week.
Right.
Gotcha.
And
That would be one of the options,
and we could
yes.
give them 4 days for Easter also, right? The Friday and the Monday, so they give a 4-day
Sorry,
Easter
Brett,
break.
I can't hear you. I'm so sorry. Could you
I said-
repeat?
They could have a 4-day Easter break also. We could give, they have Friday already, we give them the first Monday, we give them a 4-day Easter weekend.
Yes, that Easter Monday makes the most sense for the first week, yes. Other questions on those
Just a-
options?
Just a suggestion. This is Danny, just a suggestion. As we kind of develop this, it may almost be, if we can gather some feedback, maybe even from some parents as far as, maybe they want a middle of the week just to give them a break in the middle. I know each parent is dealing with different situations at home between work and school and kids. And so, if we could somehow maybe get some feedback from the community as well, I think it would be advantageous for us to make sure our alignment is correct between the district, the trustees, and the community.
I think most of the feedback that Dr. Glazer received was, then she gave us the three options of doing away with the spring break and closing school earlier, doing away with the spring break and taking every Friday off. I think that's the feedback that she had gotten, in my opinion, from the community already.
And I do think it could be any day. I don't think it has to be Friday. I know
So-
that what Friday is Good Friday. That's why it was that Friday.
I have a question. So technically, if we're doing, Schoology, the kids are logging in, so they're logging in for attendance. If the teachers are gonna, for argument's sake, post 4 days of assignments, would everybody have to take the
Don't
same
hurry.
day off?
Come down and stay down here, please.
Okay, that wasn't me. Would everybody have to take the same day off? Like, could people have a different 4 days based on their needs? As long as they logged in 4 days, have 4 days worth of work and 4 days worth of attendance. I mean, I don't know. That's just a suggestion. I don't know if, because once you get into asking people what day is better for them, beginning of the week, middle of the week, end of the week, you're going to get, if you ask 30 people, you're going to get at least 10 different answers. So I think it would either need to be streamlined where it was the X day, or it just could be 4 days out of the 5, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Make
I
sense
think,
for one person. Okay.
I just thought, since we're setting these new parameters, I think we should just try to spell out a certain day of the week, whether it's Friday or Monday or Wednesday, whatever it is, rather than change it every week. It needs to be one day, so our teachers and our staff, everybody's
So they're on
on
a
board.
schedule.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
And what I was going to say is, Erica, as the teachers have office hours, right? So the students are meeting with them, or there's direct instruction, there's opportunities for group work. I'm not sure that much flexibility, I would love that, but I'm not sure
Yeah.
that would work.
Yeah, in
especially
hindsight,
with
I'm doing it with
kids.
second grade where it's totally structured different than it is for secondary school. That makes,
Mhm.
I get you.
Right. So it might be a little different, but again, these are options. I just need to put them on the table while we continue to talk about them. And yes, Danny, I think that you'd be surprised how many parents, as soon as the governor said April 17th, were like, so we're going to get out a week early. We're just going to keep going. So there's feedback bubbles up, which I always appreciate. And I don't, I didn't say this earlier, but I think that each of you would be surprised how many parents, students that we're actually hearing from. It's unusual. I don't typically get a lot of emails and texts and phone calls from families unless there's a problem. And I'm going to tell you that the last 2 weeks have been such a validating experience for the team. I try and send out the emails and texts as they come so everybody can hear, because they're from every level: elementary, middle school, and high school. They're special ed, they're general ed, they're English language learning. Everybody that has taken the time to write, just so you know, if you're listening tonight, it's made a tremendous difference to all of us. It is challenging for us as well. We're also working from home with our families. And as one teacher said her fur baby who insists on being in every class lesson. So that's been a wonderful thing to have that feedback, and I'm looking forward to continuing that about Schoology, about spring break, whatever issue comes up. Let me keep
Thank you.
going.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just have two more things
Yeah.
as far as an update and the community, and then I'm hoping people will ask questions, perhaps things that we'll be able to answer. The district is still going through its general operations. I know, again, the school buildings are closed. School is not closed. The district still has to make payroll and pay the bills and make sure our out-of-district placement students are getting their contracted services. We're still making sure that negotiations with our bargaining units continue and our committees are still continuing to meet. One of the other things that we continue to do is work on the budget. We still are developing the budget, and board members, I know we have the policy committee on Thursday. Next week is our scheduled regular committee meetings. I hope that we're going to continue to have those committee meetings and then start our ad hoc budget committee. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, this crisis has taken front and center stage from our budget issues. Those issues remain. We still have to present a budget to the state on the same deadline. So I guess that's the last thing I wanted to remind you. We do have a continuity of operations. Everybody's still working. Everybody is still doing what's necessary to keep the daily operations of the district going. No matter what their position is, everybody's working. And it's kind of a wonderful thing to get the emails and texts from everybody else and see what's happening in our wonderful Nutley. So that's it, Charlie.
Okay. I'm going to go into citizens now. Is that okay with everyone? In this section, we allow questions. I'm sorry. Say it again.
Unless any board members have a question.
Yeah, of course. Any board members have any questions on what Dr. Glazer discussed? In this section, we allow questions or comments on all school-related matters. Our regulations allow 30 minutes for these communications. Again, each person should be limited to 3 minutes. We ask you to try to stay within this requirement. As I stated earlier, which I didn't, all statements will be directed to me. Any citizens that would like to speak about Nutley concerns, now is the time.
I guess they're calling you instead of using the chat room.
I tried to get that off in a hurry, but it was a parent that we'll deal with later. Any citizens right now would like to? Hello, citizens.
I don't think there's any there. I'm looking at the list.
All right, I'll jump in.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jen Levy. I have a kindergartner at Lincoln School, and I just want to say thank you all so much. You're doing a fantastic job. I'm also a teacher. I teach in Closter, which is up in Bergen County, and it has definitely been a challenge juggling, teaching my own students and teaching my daughter, but I have such an appreciation for what it is to teach kindergartners. My eyes are opened, and it's giving me a perspective on her learning needs even more than I thought I understood. So I just want to say thank you for continuing the learning and doing all that you do. I could not be more appreciative. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Levy, as you know, we need to thank you. Being a parent and being a teacher is not easy at all, but certainly not easy in the circumstance we're in now. And thank you for the job you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other citizens want to be heard or seen in Mrs. Levy's case? How are you? Doesn't seem like it. Any board members that want to continue this conversation? If not, I will adjourn the meeting. We're not going into closed session because we didn't announce anything like that. So we will, Fred, you have something to say?
No, not at all, Charlie.
Okay, because you came back on. All right, we'll adjourn the meeting. We'll have our regular scheduled committee meetings next week. Our negotiations committee meeting for tomorrow has been postponed. The attorney and myself and Ed have been putting the numbers together. Our attorney has been talking to the school board rep, and we're just going to put that meeting off until we can find a better time to discuss negotiations. Okay?
Charlie,
Yes, sir.
it's Ken. I'd like to officially adjourn the meeting, so I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I would second that.
Dan, okay, Ken made the motion. Danny Carnacella seconded. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a
Good
nice
night.
evening.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Stay home, stay
Thank you.
healthy.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks.
End the meeting. What's this button do? That just mutes it. How do you end it?
Just click.
Oh,
click on the right-hand corner.
we talk.